Again, and thanks for a great first session. Adam, we'll just pass it right over to you so we don't waste any time. Looking forward to today.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed, Mark. Can we see that?
Yes.
Brilliant, brilliant. I'm always mindful because the leave button is right next to the share button. So I'm always horrified that I'll end up just dropping out of the meeting, which I've done many times, as I'm sure we all have. So first of all, how did you all get on with the homework from the last session? Has everybody tried to do stuff and found this to be scary? And yes, excellent, excellent. A few people nodding, a few people looking a little bit sheepish there, which is kind of understandable. It is challenging, and it's challenging because we're doing stuff now that potentially we haven't done before. You know, we said about, you know, writing about you rather than what you do is a big thing. Were you going to say something then, Mark? Sorry.
No.
Okay, cool. This module, we're going to talk about developing a network. So, you know, in the broadest possible strokes, let's assume that you've invested huge amounts of effort and heart in writing a great profile. You look really cool, you look really interesting, you look really approachable and helpful and friendly and expert, and all of those things. That's how we want to present ourselves. But for almost everybody, your network's not where you need it to be. You know, your network reflects what you did when you left college and where you were working 10 years ago, and not necessarily where you're working now and where you're going in terms of the people that you want to be talking to. So for all of us, we need to be constantly developing a network in the areas that we want to gain influence and we want to be seen. And we need to remember that you know, we talk about social selling. The only thing that we're selling on social is a conversation. And if we're hoping to have conversations with the people that we're looking to influence, whether or not those are prospects that are going to buy your pensions or commission you to run their pension fund, or whether or not it's ideas that you're trying to seed with people or speaking at events or whatever it may be, absolutely we need to make sure that we're influencing the people that we want to be having the conversation directly with, but also the people around the people that we want to be influencing. We all know that the buying team is often quite a complex thing and there's lots of people involved, and we don't want to get a veto from any of those people. Now, one of the things that we know is that every organization mirrors your organization. You know, on LinkedIn, you're all connected to each other. Of course you are. You see each other at meetings and you have conversations with each other and you ping each other emails and engage over Teams or Slack or whatever it is you use. And it's perfectly natural for you guys to connect with each other. Hi, Sabine, lovely to see you yesterday. Is it okay if I add you on LinkedIn? Yeah, of course it is, you know. And that's how we develop our internal networks within organizations. That's not CAP, that's every company in the world. And what's interesting is that often we don't think about what that might mean in terms of how we're going to penetrate those places where we want to gain influence. So if you go onto LinkedIn and you look at your news feed, you'll see that 50% of it is from people that you're connected to, and 50% of it is from people you're not connected to. And you're seeing that because people you are connected to are engaging with the piece of content. So what we need to think is that when we do that in reverse, if we connect to 50 people inside a target account or a place that we want to gain influence, and some of those people engage with our content, lots of other people in that place will also be seeing our content in their newsfeed. With a bit of luck, they might even engage with it and like it too. But even if they don't, they're still potentially seeing that content. Now, we also need to make sure that we recognize that as we're starting to grow our network, there is a big difference between connections and network. You know, all of you have got, whether it's 200 or 20,000 followers on LinkedIn or connections on LinkedIn. And what you'll see is that you know a few of them. I'm not comfortable with sharing. I think I missed that. Something show up in the chat.
Oh, sorry about that, Adam. I didn't mean
It was
to
Mark
distract.
sharing the fact that the post that he shared last week that got the most engagement was his personal post, and he wasn't comfortable sharing it.
Yeah, and actually for all of us, this is a step outside of our comfort zone, and that's kind of perfectly okay. What you'll see is that you've got a big network. Like I said, whether that network is 200 or 10,000 people, you've got a big network, and most of them, you've no idea who they are. And that's the difference between a connection and a network. The fact that someone has connected to you does not mean that you're inside their network. It simply means that they've opened the door. You have to walk through the door. You have to make sure that they notice you. Now, what's interesting is that we're all really good at developing networks. Maybe not digitally, but we're all really good at developing networks. And some of the things that determine the value that we can get from a network are how big it is, how active we are within that network. You know, if you show up once a year, can't expect people to remember who you are. The network, is it in the right place? So for many of us, our network is a legacy of where we've been rather than where we now are and where we're going. So we need to be really mindful of the fact that the work you do now in terms of growing your network will have disproportionately great benefits. You know, because everyone you're going to connect to this year is people that you want to be having conversations with, not your ex-boss from 20 years ago who you hate. So fundamentally, you're likely to be getting a lot more value. Not just is the network in the right place, are the people the right people? Have you connected to the person that the actual individual you want to be having a conversation with, or are you just connected to the company? And then there's the depth of connection. You know, how well does this person know you? How well do you know them? How much trust is there? Now, traditionally, the way we've done this is with taking people out for breakfast. You know, we do our weekly or monthly business breakfast group, and we meet all the people, or we go to the company and we sit in the canteen and we have conversation. Now, there's a whole host of problems with this route of doing things. Firstly, there's a finite amount of people that you can keep in touch with this way. You know, if you're going to these business networking groups, it could be that there's 20 people there, 30 people there, 50 people there. It's a relatively small pool you're fishing in. Another challenge you have is how often can you touch these people? You know, everybody is busy. So I can't expect you to remember me if you haven't heard from me for 3 months. So how often are you going to see me for that breakfast? If you hear from somebody that I'm really good, how much trust can you place in that? It's nice that I've given some positive feedback about somebody, but is that something that you're going to risk political capital on? Am I going to be front of mind? If I'm trying to build a relationship with you and you've not seen me for 2 months, am I going to be front of mind when the thing that I can solve actually appears to you? You know, are you going to connect the dots that here's the problem, here's the guy that can solve it? But all of those kind of shortcomings said, this old way of connecting and building relationships with people did help increase sales. You know, that's why business breakfast groups and Chamber of Commerce events have been so successful over the years. But now in the digital world, what we've got is the opportunity to scale this out of all proportion, where we could have conversations with tens or 100 people. Now we can have conversations with hundreds or thousands. Where we used to touch these people every month, now we can touch them every single day. When we used to have anecdotal trust, yeah, Mark says that this guy's really good. Now I can check that. Mark has recommended this guy in black and white on his LinkedIn profile. So clearly this is somebody that I know that I can trust. Front of mind, oh yeah, you know, if you've connected to Tim or I, you'll see that you cannot get away from us. You log in and there we are looking back at you. You cannot ignore us anymore. And lastly, this isn't a mechanism for helping to increase sales. This is a mechanism which is vital for survival now. You know, as we saw at the very beginning of the first session, everybody that we want to have a conversation with is on social, and this is helping them shape their worldview. You know, this is what they consider to be one of their greatest resources for learning and development. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to connect into the places that we want to get conversations. So I use Unilever and my engagement with Unilever as an example of this. As you can see, Unilever is a company of 110,000 people, of which I'm connected to 2. Well, in fact, one of them are disconnected from me. I think all moved to another company, as Tim pointed out the other day when we were doing this. I'm now connected to 1 person in Unilever, which means that I have achieved complete invisibility in that company. Nobody is ever going to see anything that I publish. By contrast, Oracle, I'm connected to loads of people in Oracle. I used to work there, connected to loads of people in Oracle. So there's a reasonable chance that some of the people in Oracle are going to see the posts that I publish. And that's really vital. If I publish posts that resonate with those people in Oracle, then there's a reasonable chance they might engage with some of those. So the first thing we need to think about is targeted connecting. I want to get into this particular company, so I need to proactively connect to people in there, but I need to connect in such a way that they actually hopefully glance in my direction and read my profile. That page that I've spent so long developing and making sure reflects who I am and what I stand for and what matters to me, and all of those touchy-feely human elements. So our first outreach to these people is absolutely crucial that we get it right. And here is an example of something that you can use. Now, this is a really good connection request because it works at lots of different levels. So firstly, I'm going to personalize this. I'm going to send a connection request to Mark, and it says, "Hi, Mark." So it's pseudo personalized. Notice that after the hi, there's a space, because I'm going to cut and paste this in, and I'm going to send exactly the same connection request to Karen, to Russell, to Sabine, to Horace, to everybody. Everyone's going to get the same connection request. Now, this works on a number of levels, because we're having to tackle not just the physical issue of getting lots of these connection requests out, we're going to have to tackle the psychological issue of making sure that lots of people say yes. So, first of all, it begins by saying LinkedIn suggested you as someone I might find interesting. Now, that's a really nice opener. And the reason that's a nice opener is that if I send you a connection request that says, "Hi, Mark, I searched and found somebody that I can sell something to, and your name came up. Is it okay if we connect?" The answer is going to be no, of course it is. If LinkedIn has suggested you, then I haven't proactively looked for you. It has just been suggested to me. And because I'm always looking to add good people to my profile, a little bit of flattery always goes well. Because I'm always looking to add good people to my network, there's a good chance that you will see that as a compliment. You know, that's nice. So what I've done is I've opened the door by saying, "This, you have been suggested to me. I've looked at you. You look like you're really good. Is it okay if we connect?" But what I'm saying is I'm not going to try and sell you anything. I'm not buying or pitching at the moment. And again, this is really, really important. And it's important because on LinkedIn, increasingly, we're seeing what is laughingly referred to as pitch slapping. You know, you send someone a connection request, they accept, and then immediately you're on them with a list of your products and services. At this point, remember, they don't know who you are. So they're not going to accept anything you say as being true necessarily. They're probably not even going to invest the time in reading that stuff. So here, we're beginning by saying, I'm not pitching anything or buying, to manage your expectations at the moment. And then a sign off, "I hope that's okay." You know, we're asking for permission. So this is a perfect LinkedIn connection request. And it's perfect because it's reusable. Yes, I can look at your profile. I can read all of the things that you've written in your profile. I can write you an uber personalized one that says, "Hi, Mark. As a gentleman living in Toronto who's bald, there's a certain synergy there. It'd be great if we could connect because I like to connect to other bald people." That's great, but the problem is it takes me 10 minutes to identify those things from your profile. And that means that if I'm going to spend an hour a day sending connection requests, I'm only going to send 60 out during the course of the week, which is simply not enough. Whereas with this, I can literally just search, get my list of search responses, and then connect to all of them. Hi, Mark. Hi, Tim. Hi, Russell. Hi, Karen. Hi, Sophia. Everyone gets exactly the same one. So this is a really great way of connecting to those rank and file people. You know, you want to get into the organization at a mid-level, people that will potentially have some connections, people that will potentially be prepared to champion you or able to champion you, and start to get a toehold in the business. So, time for an exercise. Your homework, or part of your homework, from what was the comment there? Except for that, I hope that's okay. Yeah, you don't have to. And one of the beauties of this is that this is about you expressing yourself. So this connection request is perfect, except for this is in my words, not yours. But the rationale behind this will enable you to connect at scale to people. So the homework from last session was to find 10 people that you wanted to connect to have a conversation with. So we're going to take 5 minutes, possibly less, we're taking to 20 plus 3 minutes for you to send this connection request with their name on it to every single person. Now, you've got 300 characters in the connection request. So if their name is Tim or Russell or Karen or Mark or Sabine, it will work. If your name is enormously long, or the name of the person that you're sending to is enormously long, you may have to modify this slightly by taking out some of the line breaks or something. But here we go. 10 of those, please.
Adam, are you able to copy paste the text in the chat so that it's easier to draft?
Yes, I can do that. Bear with me just a moment, caller. Look. There you go. So sorry, it's in a junior school size font.
Can I ask a question while we're kind of working through this?
Please.
When I receive connection requests like this, they feel contrived and maybe
Yep.
a little bit not authentic. And now, I mean, I've read the book, and it's all about authenticity, right? And genuine connections and building on those. How does that contrast kind of or what's the contrast and compare, I guess I'll ask, with something like this? Is it because it's middle? Is it because we're looking for someone to champion and instead of building those connections? Can you talk through that a little?
Yeah. So what we have is a trade-off. You know, you've got a finite amount of time to undertake these activities. The most important thing is to get the maximum amount of connection into an organization as you can, as efficiently as you possibly can. So yeah, you can write a super personalized, hyper authentic connection request, which will pretty much guarantee you 100% acceptance. But if it takes you
Right.
if it takes you 10 minutes to do that, you can send 6 an hour. Here, it's going to take you 10 seconds to do that. So you can send 100 an hour. Now, the beauty of that is that even if this only gets a 50% acceptance rate, an hour has yielded you 50 connections into a company rather than 6. Now, you should get more than 50%, but even if you only get 50% acceptance rate, and what you're doing is you're using this as a mechanism for divining people who were prepared to have a conversation with you. The challenge that you have is that if you invest a huge amount of time in going after one person, so I'm going after Mark, it's really important I speak to Mark. I send him a connection request. I follow it up with a message saying, I'd love to have a chat with you at some point. And he says, I don't like you. I don't want to talk to you. Well, he probably wouldn't say that, but the inference is he doesn't want to talk to me. So all of that time I've invested is now sunk time. Whereas if what I do is I send a connection request and half of you say yes, And then one of you is a keen guitar player. Okay, I'm going to have a conversation with you about guitar, and then I'm going to turn that into a conversation about pensions, and then I'm going to talk about how I can help you with your pensions, and that's how I'm going to develop the conversation. And what we need to be doing is kind of just getting the maximum number of people into the network first. Then we're going to work out which of those people kind of like the way we look. And then we're going to ask those people for a conversation, or the people that could be helpful to us, we're going to ask those people for a conversation. And like any element of sales, whether you're selling a product or a service, or you're just selling a concept, this is a numbers game.
Got it. Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
Miranda, I guess you have a question.
Oh, thanks. So identifying some top leads from the SIN list, this is a project that we're working on.
Yep.
There are one or two decision makers that we've identified or are named as the contact person for the pension. And so we worked in a previous workshop to do cold calls. So to bring these two activities together, would it be correct to say that we could look at the other peripheral folks at the company and send a bunch of these messages so that we're connecting with maybe mid-level people, but then still do the cold call and the voice message? Because part of that we also connect and then tell them we'll follow up electronically. So would that be fair to kind of come at the company from multiple people? I think.
Yeah. I mean, what you're looking for is somebody that's prepared to talk to one of you. And actually, the beauty of this is that this can be an at-scale warming up exercise. The telephone is infinitely more powerful a mechanism than messaging is, but only if people will take your call. And the beauty of this is that it enables you to kind of tee those people up ready to have a conversation, to deploy those telephone skills. And yes, you don't all want to be sending the identical connection request to the same person, 10 minutes apart. But, the reality is if I send, and I've got you, Miranda, and you, Eric, on the screen side by side, if you're sitting next to each other, and you could be sitting next to each other, if you're sitting next to each other in the office, if I send the same connection request to both of you at exactly the same time, I can be pretty confident that neither of you will turn to the other and say, look at the connection request I've just got from Adam. And the reason is you've got better things to do with your time and your intellect than obsess over the connection request you just got. So this is very much a numbers game, and this is very much a case of processing people. You can't legislate for whether somebody likes you or not, but once they've accepted you into their network, then you can say, okay, well, I'm over the first hurdle now.
Thank you.
Eric, you've got your hand up.
Yes, thank you very much, Adam. You mentioned that, and I agree with you that in many instances, when you make a connection, you shouldn't be pitching to them right away because it's obvious what you're doing and nobody likes that. But in broad general terms, like how long or what do you need to do? Like at which point, especially if it's somebody you don't know well initially, like what's the right process or the right amount of time, or what's the rule of thumb as to when to initialize the next step?
It's funny you should mention that because we're going to be looking at that in just a moment. so a little bit later on. And quickly, Harish, before we move on to the next slide, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I just had a quick comment, Adam, and that is, and this is very specific to myself. I actually don't accept anybody unless I've either met them or I know them, because if somebody's approaching you, rule of thumb, they're going to want something from you. This goes in dating, this goes in anything you want to do in your life. So unless I recognize the person, I don't even read what they have to say. If I know who they are, I'll accept them. Otherwise, there's no way I'm adding random people on LinkedIn. So I'm not sure how other people feel about that, but that's just what I do. And also one more thing that I appreciate that you're saying it's a numbers game, but really at the end of the day, what we're going to be approaching them is on a very specialized product. So in my opinion, we should target the people that really matter in that process, as opposed to just sending 100 friend requests, right? Like, I don't know, that's my opinion, but that could be wrong. I don't know however
Okay.
other people feel, but
Mark,
Yeah, so first of all, we did just say we want to target the people we want to speak with, Horace. So you're
Okay.
not spraying and praying. And by the way, I completely understand your approach to this, but the way I think about it is think about being at a trade show. Because you guys do a lot of trade shows, you've got lots of personality, you engage. If someone came up to you at a trade show just to initiate a conversation, you don't block them and go, show me your business card. What are you up to? I don't trust you. You just engage in a conversation. So the value of a network isn't the depth of your experiences relationship with each one. It's actually the breadth of it. So by the way, I just did the exercise with the 10. I actually like this idea of reaching out and engaging. And you know, when everybody says here, hey, it feels template, I don't respond, because if someone reaches out to me this way, you're a sample size of one, right? So one of the things we're trying to think about here, folks, none of us, there's 2 people on this call who are LinkedIn experts. That's why we're asking for the best practices. Now, again, it's always a decision. You choose to apply them or not. But if we understand these as best practices because this is all these guys do, I'd ask you to show them same consideration you've always shown me, which is, hey, we'll be open to the idea and try it. I actually, just while we're doing this, I reached out to 10 people, and I'll be interested to see what comes back. But I just asked you to take that away, because the sample size of I don't respond is a sample size of 1. And these guys actually have sample sizes of tens of thousands of people, if not millions, who have done it. That's why they're global thought leaders doing this. And again, we got to go back to, it's not always super comfortable. It's not always super comfortable. And I'll tell you, I didn't feel comfortable sharing my vacation pictures last week, but I did get the highest sort of engagement from any post I did last week. So that's all I'd throw out as a bit of a counterpoint, Horace.
Okay. Well, I'm deeply flattered at what you said there, Mark. So thank you very much indeed. And yeah, I totally get it, Horace. Absolutely get it. But this is, for everybody, this is a bit of a leap of faith. And honestly, one of the things that's so beautiful about this is that you start to make these changes and people tell you that they like them. You know, you put a funky headline up and people start messaging you saying, yeah, I love your headline. That's really cool. Or, you know, you're into surfing and people go, surfing, oh, I love surfing as well. And it's all about having a reason to have a conversation with somebody. So there are more important people as well. You know, within organizations, there may be a group of people, a stripe across the middle of the organization, where building relationships in the organization at scale is a really good thing. That getting insights from the organization is a really good thing. Just wanting conversations is a really good thing. And then there are the real decision makers within an organization. And what we might need to do is we might need to do a little bit more work with those people. So this guy, Adrian Spink, he's been bought out now. He was the chief executive of one of the divisions of Telstra, the Australian telco. And if I wanted to target him, what I could do is I could send him a connection request, but let's be honest, I'm not the only person sending Adrian a connection request this week. There'll be loads of people, all of whom think they're a perfect fit for his business. But what I can do is I can warm him up. I can go and look at his activity and I can start to engage with some of his activity. So I can look at his posts, like on the left there, Adrian Stink. You're absolutely right as ever, Catherine, in a world of WhatsApp, that post, and I can drop a like on it or a comment on it. I can also drop a like or a comment on the post that Adrian has shared, like the Tim Monday post next to it. So Adrian has taken Tim's post, he's reshared it with a bit of narrative. So I've left a comment on that post. Now, the reason that I would do those two things is that when you log into LinkedIn, you've got a little bell icon at the top, and the bell icon is your notifications. So you see that you've got a notification, you click on it, and there's me. And then a couple of days later, you see a notification, you click on it, and it's me. So all of a sudden, I'm not this person that you've never seen before. I'm a person that you've seen twice. And then I can look at Adrian's all activity, and I can see that he's liked a post by London City Airport, and he's commented on a post by Daniel. Now, in both of those instances, he's liked that post. I can go and comment on that, and he'll then get a notification that Adam Gray has commented on a post that he's liked. And I can comment on Daniel's post, or I can like Adrian's comment. Again, he'll get a notification of this. And the reason that I'm doing this is that what I'm looking for is an opportunity to be able to send him this, which is really friendly. Hi, Adrian, I keep bumping into you on various posts all over LinkedIn, so perhaps we should connect. I hope that's okay. And he'll realize that he's seen me 2, 3, 4, 100 times. And all of a sudden, I'm not some scary guy that's going to start pitching him stuff. I'm a guy that moves in the same circles that he moves in. You know, what he's doing is he's seeing me engaging with his posts. He's seeing me engaging with the posts he engages with. We've got something in common. So this is really friendly, and it's a low risk thing for him to accept my connection request on this basis. So we've got the direct outreach. I'm going to do this at scale. Everybody who's in the middle of the business, I'm going to connect with them to build a toehold in the business. Then when Adrian, if I'm targeting his business, when Adrian looks at this, he sees that I'm connected to 100 people in his business already. Oh, well, I'm less of a risk than if I'm connected to nobody that he knows. But also, I can farm him ahead of sending him a connection request, because for the 100 people, doesn't matter who I connect to, as long as I connect to some of them. With him, he may be the only one that I can connect to. So this is quite a strategic initiative. You've got the bulk people, the rank and file, and then you've got the senior leaders, of which there are very few. But the other thing is we've got random connecting. So the strategic stuff is you deciding who you are going to connect to and then connecting to them. The other side is that you've got random connecting. If you've got a premium version of LinkedIn, you get to see who's looked at your profile. So if you've got somebody that's looked at your profile, you know, all of these people, I can send them a connection request. Hi, Colin. Hi, Mark. Hi, Christina. Hi, David. I can't, the last two, obviously I can't, but the previous ones, I can send them all a connection request saying, I noticed you looked at my profile the other day. I had a look at your profile as well. Is it all right if we connect? Now, the nice thing about that is that I'm sending you a connection request because of something you've done. Therefore, you've initiated this interaction, not me. Therefore, again, it's less friendly. So I'm likely to get a higher connection rate. So when people look at your profile, why would you not connect to them? They've looked at your profile because you've commented on something, or they've searched and found you, or they're looking for somebody in your area of expertise, all of which are good reasons to connect to them. But also, you do a post. The post gets some engagement, comments and likes, and some of the comments are from people you're connected to, and some of the comments are from people you're not connected to. So again, connect to all of those people, particularly those people, because if you've liked or commented on a post of mine, I want to make sure you see as many of those posts as possible. You've already demonstrated from your actions that you like my content, so why would I not want you to see that? And this needs to become in all of us, connecting to people as part of our connection strategy, both the rank and file and the senior leaders within the organizations we're targeting, but also those random connecting things. This needs to become baked into us as a normal behavior. You know, if you add 100 connections a week, that's 5,000 connections by this time next year. That's 5,000 connections in exactly the place that you likely want those connections to be. That's incredibly powerful. So if you've got 1,000 connections in the right place today, this time next year, you've got 6 times as many people that you can have a conversation with. That's incredibly strategic and valuable an initiative to have. So you've connected to these people. What now? You know, traditionally what we've done is we said, well, I've connected to you and that's enough. You know, I've now got you in my network. But we need to make sure that we're not kind of wasting the opportunities that are presented to us. So if somebody is walking down a corridor before you and they hold a door open for you and you walk through after them, what do you say to that person?
Thank you.
Exactly. So you've just accepted my connection request. So I'm going to send you a note that says, thanks for connecting. Have a good week. Or I would say that to send that today. On Thursday, I'd say, Thanks for connecting. Have a good weekend. We're nearly there now.
Adam, Sabine's put his hand up.
Oh, Sabine, hi.
Sorry, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
And this is more to do with specifics to opportunities for CATA. I'm assuming we're doing this because beyond growing our network, we want to, grow membership in our plan.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm thinking about it from my perspective. Do I want to grow my network where I see opportunity, or are we just, looking to grow our network from a professional level globally? Like, for example, if there's an asset manager, somebody's trying to reach out to me from the UK, there's not really an opportunity for me. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are around, global networks versus just specific to what CAT's doing.
So the focus of what you do has to be what you're trying to achieve. So yes, your target accounts, your target regions, of course, you investing all of your time and effort in developing a network in Singapore is probably a waste of time unless you're thinking that you're going to move to Singapore and set your life up there. That said, if somebody reaches out to you, there is no harm in accepting their connection request. Now, clearly, if it's a search engine optimization expert from somewhere in Asia, you're probably thinking there's not much value in that. But if it's somebody that's in a similar region, similar kind of industry to you, or at a similar level in an organization to you, then yeah, these people, we're all well connected. I know people in Canada, there's 50 of them on the call. And that's the point. The point is that if you have an issue, it may be that I know somebody who's in the next town to you, even though they're on the other side of the world, the next town to you, who might be able to help sort your issue out. And anybody that's got a big network, anybody that's active, their amplification can be really valuable. So I certainly wouldn't make it the focus of my network growth, to be random. But I would certainly any connection request that you get for someone that doesn't look like they're a spammer, accept it, because you never know where that's going to lead. And people that have looked at your network, at your profile, or people that have engaged with your content, all of them deserve a connection request because they've looked your way, and you don't know where this might lead. But part of the reason that we're doing this, we're sending the thanks for connecting, have a good week, is because most people don't. All of you have got hundreds or even thousands of connections on LinkedIn. How often have you ever had a note from someone that says, thanks for connecting? Hardly ever. And remember, in a sales environment, it's very binary. There's one winner and everyone else is a loser. If you can make yourself look a little bit better than everybody else, that's puts you in the preeminent position. Now, am I saying that if you send a note to someone saying thanks for connecting, have a good week, they're going to immediately phone you up and say, I'd like to get you to run the pension fund for our 10,000 employees? No, of course not. That would be a ludicrous thing to say. But if it moves you just a sheet of paper closer to the client, that's a really good thing. And what you're hoping for is you send a cool. If you what you're hoping is that each of these touch points is an opportunity for them to have the conversation with you. You can chase somebody for a conversation. But if I send you a super friendly connection request that says, hi Sabine, I saw your post, you look really cool, I think we could be friends, is it all right if we connect? And you go, which bit about it made you think that I was right? We're now having a conversation. That's great, because I've got some degree of control over where this goes. So I send you a note saying, thank you for accepting, have a good week. And you might respond back saying, oh, well, that's nice. You have a good week too. In which case I'll send you a note that says, are you doing anything interesting this week? And you'll say, I am actually. I'm flying to Manitoba to deliver a seminar for people. And I go, oh, that's fantastic. I've been to Manitoba. And you say, oh, where have you been? Right, again, we're having a conversation. So all of this is about giving each other the opportunities for these things to unfold in the way that we want. I'm mindful of the famous quote by Jack Nicklaus or whoever it was, the harder I practice, the luckier I get. These are lucky encounters. but being lucky is a really good thing. You know, having the opportunity to facilitate these chance encounters is a really, really powerful thing. So you're going to send this to someone. Maybe they'll pick up the ball and maybe they'll run with it. Maybe they won't. So what's the point in doing this? Well, because I've sent you a friendly connection request. I've sent you a friendly follow-up, and I've kind of offered the olive branch to you. And on neither of those occasions have you picked up the olive branch and kind of pulled me in. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to leave it for a bit, further to your point, Eric. I'm going to leave it a little bit, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month, maybe 6 weeks, until you've seen some of my content. I haven't pursued you and chased you around the room. And then I'm going to send you this. And this, like the other connection request, is very well thought through. Hi, Eric. I did mean to message you when we first connected, asking if we could have a chat. I'm not selling or buying, but it's always good to have a brief chat with new connections to see what they do. After all, that is what networking is all about. I'm very busy this week and next, but perhaps after that, would that be okay? Now, that's cool on so many levels. I've started with an apology, which puts me on the back foot. So you think, oh, I'm in charge here because this person's already apologized. I'm saying I'd like to have a brief chat with my connections to see what they do, not to see what synergies there may be or to explain how I can help you, because nobody wants that. Nobody wants to hear, hi, I'd love to have a call with you to tell you about me. Everybody wants, I'd love a call with you so you can tell me about you. So I'd like to hear what it is that you do. That is the point of networking. The reason I'm putting that in is because I want to shame you into saying yes. But then lastly, I'm very busy this week and next, but perhaps after that. Because what I'm hoping above all else is that you say to me, okay, shall we schedule something for the beginning of June? Because I know then that you're making the running. You feel that you are driving this. And part of the reason that I'm saying not this week or next week is because I don't want you to think this is another case of pouncing on you. You know, if I say to you, would it be okay if we had a chat at some time, and you say, yeah, of course, and I say, are you ready in 5 minutes? You know, it's a horrifically intrusive way of having developing a relationship with someone. Whereas if I kind of push it out over the horizon, yeah, I can't do anything this week or next, maybe after that, and you say, yeah, why not? Why not? It's harmless. You know, you want to hear what it is I do, maybe I'll be able to sell you something, will be your view. Great. Then maybe you will be able to sell me something. But this is what I'm teeing up for, because I know that if I've done the bit right before this, I've given you a nice connection request. I've said, thank you for connecting. I've left it 2, 3, 4 weeks. I've sent you this. You thought, this guy seems like a nice guy. He shared some good content. He's got a big network. He's got an interesting profile. He hasn't chased me around the room trying to get a call with me. Yeah, why don't I have a call with him? That's the magic. Because I know that when I've got you on a call, I can steer where the call goes. If I send you a brochure, let me give you some of my details. I can't even guarantee you're going to read it. If I run the call properly and I say to you, so, Eric, tell me about what you do at CAT. And you tell me, and I say, that's interesting. Why would I choose you and not a competitor? And you say, well, here's what was special about us. And I go, that's brilliant, that is. So who are your competitors anyway? So you give me a list of your competitors and I go, fantastic. So how can I help you? Who can I introduce you to? What are you looking for? And then you tell me. And I've now, when it's my turn to speak, I've earned the right for you to listen to what I'm about to say because I've just listened to you for 10 minutes. And, you know, the reciprocity in this is so important. You know, traditionally what happens is we get on a call and I go, okay, that's enough about you. Let me tell you what I want to say. There's nothing less attractive than that. So the beauty of this is that we've got to that point where you're prepared to listen to what it is that I'm going to say. And it is all about the conversation.
Adam, Mark put his hand up.
Mark.
Yeah, Adam, just a thought. So again, I'm loving these tactics, right? I think a lot of us are always looking for tactics in terms of how to do it that we can then convert into our voice. With that last one, if you just go back to the verbiage,
Yeah,
you know, were you suggesting this is for these high-level contacts or mid-level contacts? And
this is for everybody.
It's for everybody.
Yeah.
So go ahead, please.
No, I was just
So Mark, what we're taught in sales is, and we're all taught this, is that what we have to do is we have to do the alternative close, which is where whenever we set up a meeting, we say, okay, I can do Tuesday or Thursday. As soon as you do that, they know that you're a salesman trying to sell something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you will find, you can do this. We've A/B tested this. And we've set a whole load of connection. All of what you're seeing is all being tested. We've got all data that says that you will get a good response from this. And we know that if you say on this, I can meet you next Tuesday or Thursday, you will get 100% rejection.
Yeah.
As soon as you say I'm busy this week and that, you will get 60%.
Yeah.
And just, you know, that's 60% versus 0.
Yeah. So I totally get that, Tim. The point I was on, just for discussion, would be just the having a chat with a connection to see what they do. If I'm reaching out to somebody who's kind of the CEO or president of a business, I'm wondering if they might have a bit of a reaction to that, saying, hey, we get that a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm the president of the business. What do you think I do? Versus something like, as an alternative, hey, I wanted to chat with you based on a few things we're seeing in the industry.
Yeah.
You know, industry versus person, just with that thought of, hey, you tweak it in your own voice that's appropriate for you. But that was the,
Mark, we could give you a blank screen and tell you to go away and make your own things up. But what we've done is that we've come forward with these suggestions saying, this is what we've tried, this is what we know what works. But at the end of the day, it should come out in your own voice.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing to remember is that this is a one size fits all message. So let's assume that Sabine is the president of the company and I'm desperate to speak to Sabine. If I'm selling something, I can be pretty confident Sabine is desperate not to speak to me. And it doesn't, there is nothing that I can say at this point in the relationship which is going to make him say, yes, I'll give up an hour of my time to talk to this guy who's clearly going to try to pitch me something. So the beauty of doing this at scale is that everybody on the call knows Sabine and Sabine knows everybody on the call. So I'm not going to go for Sabine. I'm going to speak to Miranda and to Graham and to Eric and to Nick. And I'm going to ask all of these people for a call. And Miranda, she doesn't like me at all, so she isn't going to take the call. And Graham is, no, understandable. And Graham is kind of, he's not that fussed about me. But Nick quite likes me, and Eric thinks I'm tremendous. So I get these people on a call, and I build a relationship with those people. And then, you know, the questions that I ask to trigger the question that I want in return would be finishing up with, so how can I help you? And law of reciprocity and all that. You say, I would like an intro into this thing. And Eric says to me, how can I help you? And I would say, you would be a perfect client for us as a business. Who should I be speaking to? And Eric says, you need to speak to Sabine. And I say, I think I'm connected, but I don't know Sabine. And Eric says, no problem, I'll introduce you to him now. And Eric is not going to introduce me to Sabine by saying, there's this guy on LinkedIn, he's a real pain, will you talk to him, please? He's likely to say, there's this guy on LinkedIn, he's got something interesting to say, I think you should listen to him. Now, one of the beauties of this is that it enables you to walk around roadblocks. You know, what you're looking for initially in that 100 across the middle of the organization, what you're looking for is people who like you, because those people, you can mobilize them to go and knock on doors on your behalf. You know, we're currently working Salesforce as an opportunity for us. And we've got 2 people in Salesforce who basically think we can walk on water. And they are actively making their internal meetings about what we do, so more people are aware of us in the organization, and they're trying to open doors for us. They're not being compensated for it. We haven't even asked them to do it. They're doing it because they want to help us, because they believe in us and what it is that we do. And it'll be the same for you in your organizations. I've spoken to several of you now, and you are passionate that you have the best product that is the right product for your kind of target businesses. And when I talk to you, your passion for it, not as a salesman, passion in this, but you genuinely believe it's the right thing to do. That comes across in everything you do and say. And that is incredibly beguiling. Ian.
So Adam, you're basically, I guess you're saying that it's a relationship building exercise as opposed to transactional and going for that sale right away.
Absolutely. But this is relationships at scale. You know, you can go into an organization of 1,000 people and 50% of them will love you and 50% of them will not like you at all. Okay, you don't need to worry about the 50% that don't. You need to worry about the 50% that love you, and then you need to mobilize those people to do your bidding for you. And this is a divining rod for finding those people who like you. Tim jokes about this all the time. He says, you only seem to sell stuff to people that play the guitar. Yeah. Surprise, surprise. It's because it's something that we have in common. You know, and part of why we talk about these things that are personal, not private, but personal to us, is because we're trying to find these nuggets that we can put out there that people, you know, form little communities around.
Yeah. I just want to be mindful of time. There's 8 minutes left, and I know we got a couple of questions. I think Jeff had a question. I don't know if his arm got sore, but
yeah, I think Ian's up first.
Yeah, I don't know, Jeff, if your question was answered, but there's
it was.
a couple.
Thanks, Sabine.
Okay, I'll go. So are these tactics limited to LinkedIn, or can they be used on other platforms?
So we have focused the training on LinkedIn. And in fact, we focus most of our training on LinkedIn in terms of the visuals that we use. But this strategy and this behavior works on any social network. In fact, it even works in face-to-face meetings. You know, the idea is that we have been taught that we are going to be like a sniper, laser focused on the person that we want to have a conversation with. And that's profoundly wrong, because you're relying on them liking you, and you can't legislate for that. Whereas if you take a broader brush of strokes and find the people that do like you, those are the people that you can turn to champions. And that works on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, in face-to-face meetings, all of these things. Eric.
Thank you, Adam. Just quickly, you touched on the fact that about warm introduction. So in our case here, there's a lot of time, you know, we know who we want to talk to, like usually, you know, director or HR, VP HR. And let's say we know somebody else, because you can see mutual connections on LinkedIn, as you know.
Yep.
At what point do you try and bypass building the relationship on your own using a warm introduction by somebody else? What does your study or your show? Is it much easier to go that way as opposed to try and build the connection yourself?
I think that again, you know, there are a lot of variables here. You know, if I look at all of the people that you're connected to, I bet I can find loads of people that are your connections that you've no idea who they are. You've got no relationship with them at all. Same is true of every single person on these networks. So just because you seem to be connected to Mark and Russell, it doesn't mean you've ever spoken to these people. You might have no idea who they are. So the best way to determine this is to let them make the decisions around this. So I know that you're influential and well connected within your business. I have some one-to-one time with you. I build a bit of a relationship. You say, what are you trying to achieve, Adam? And I say, I want to speak to somebody that's responsible for this. And you say, I don't know that person, but I do know this person. Great. Well, then can I talk to that person? And let that kind of determine this. What you're looking for is you're looking to see the low-hanging fruit that you can pick. You know, we can all say, I'm going to target this person. That's a 5-year strategy to win their trust. And oh, they've moved to another company. You know, there are so many things that change in this environment. So what you want is the easy route to get the conversations with the people that can help champion you internally.
Okay, great, thank you.
Can I wrap up, Adam?
Yeah. So if we haven't got any more questions, the reality is that this, like what we did last time, and like what we're going to do next time, is a different kind of education. You know, we are used to, particularly our professional education, be a case of I sit down, you pump me full of stuff, and that's the end of it, and then I go. And now I know that information. This is like going to the gym. You know, I am walking you around the machines, I'm showing you how the machines work, and I'm giving you a chance to sit on the machines and pump them a couple of times. But if you want to get fit, you have to pump the machines. If you haven't got a great profile, as you can imagine, it makes it really difficult for people to notice you when you connect to them. If you just look like everybody else out on LinkedIn, why would they remember you? If you don't look interesting, kind, genuine, helpful, knowledgeable, all of those things that you want to be, why would they take notice of you? Any more than if you don't put on your best clothes when you go to the cocktail party, people don't notice you. You know, this absolutely is putting your best self forward and being the best version of who you are and the most engaging and relatable person of who you are. So these are activities that understanding the what you need to do and doing it, that's where the chasm is. You know, we have a reseller in Singapore. His headline says, "Knowing but not doing is folly." And it's absolutely true. You know, very rarely do we say, "Here's what you need to do," and anyone say, "I don't believe that." 99.99% of people that we talk to nod and go, "You're absolutely right." 99.99% of people don't do it though. Some do, many don't. And that's the difference between success and failure. And when you've built your profile and it looks fantastic and it's really rocking, the next thing, the fitness bit, is this connecting to people. It's a constant thing. Every single week, every person that interacts with you, you send them a connection request just going, "Hi, can we connect?" And the reason you do it is that you need to get into the habit of doing it. You never know where it's going to lead. The ones that don't accept, don't matter. Just ignore them. The ones that do, those are the ones you focus on. And next time we're going to look at content and engaging with people. And that again is an ongoing thing. So thank you all very much indeed for your time and for your great questions. And please do book your one-to-ones.
There's a homework slide, isn't there, Adam?
There is a homework slide. Yes, thank you, Tim. I'm glad somebody's on the ball. So for the next time, you need to have connected to 50 people. Now, that's not sent 50 connection requests. That's connected to 50 people. The two are not the same thing. And that's why the message and how you do it is really, really important. You need to follow everyone that accepts. You need to follow it up with a note saying thank you. You'll be amazed at what happens when you do that. Some people will engage you in a conversation. And you can use one of those messages, that I meant to ask this when we first connected. You can message that to 10 people you're already connected to. All of you are connected to hundreds of people. So 10 people, send them all a message saying, "We've not ever spoken. Do you want to have a chat?" And see what happens. 20% will say yes. So every 10 that you send it to, 20% will say yes. If you send 10 a day, it's 2 calls a day. 2 calls a day, 5 days a week, every single week, from now until the end of time, you'll be the most successful salesperson the pension industry has ever seen. Next week, we are going to do a post. So what I want you to do is to bring with you a photo from something that you did at the weekend, like Mark did. So we're gonna do a personal post next time, not a private post, a personal post, something that you did away from work, something that might interest some of the people that are going to see it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Team, thank you, thank you, thank you. So we'll circulate the homework in an exercise. By the way, appreciate all the questions today and the engagement. Digital, thank you to Tim and Adam again, by the way. And if Tim and Adam can just circulate the PowerPoint or the templates or send it to us, we'll make sure Maria gets it out there, just so everybody's got the verbiage template to try and apply it. If you choose to apply the verbiage as it's here, and I'll tell everybody at In the Funnel, we're going to apply, we're going to do this exercise exactly as they've suggested, because I think it's going to work, and we'll look at the results a week from now.
Fantastic. Well, have a lovely week, everybody. And if you've got any questions, problems, or challenges or anything, you know where I am. Until then, thank you very much indeed.
Book your one-on-ones, team. Why wouldn't you? Book your one-on-ones. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.